Everyone thinks the key to winning at sports betting is knowing more about sports. If you just watched more games, knew more players, or had more inside info, you'd win more at sports bets, right? Wrong. That's exactly what the sportsbooks want you to believe. Because the truth is, winning at sports betting has almost nothing to do with knowing sports. It has everything to do with understanding value. In fact, some of the sharpest sports bettors I know don't even watch the games. They couldn't name half the players on the field, but they're consistently profitable year after year. How? Because they understand something that most sports bettors don't. Sports betting isn't about picking winners. It's about picking the right price. Hi, I'm Rude Bets. I've built and operated rudebets.com, one of the most popular sports betting data sites, for the last 2 years. In this video, I'm going to reveal the exact system that pro bettors use to beat the books, how you can spot plus EV opportunities, and how you can use tools like mine to actually gain an edge without guessing. Let's dive in. Let's get one thing straight. Loving sports and winning at betting are two completely different skill sets. You can know every player's stats, every injury report, every trend from the last decade, and still lose consistently because knowledge of sports gives you context, but not an edge. What do I mean by that? Let's say you're an expert on the NFL. You know the Chiefs are dominant. You know Patrick Mahomes is elite, but the sportsbooks know that too. In fact, the line you're seeing right now already reflects all of this knowledge. So if you're betting them to win at minus 200, that's already priced in. There is no edge in being right when the market agrees with you. And when you're betting based on intuition or team loyalty, you're not beating the books. You're feeding right into their games. They've built a multi-billion-dollar industry off the casual better's overconfidence. Now let me introduce you to the concept that changes everything. Expected value, or as we like to call it in sports betting, EV. Here's a really simple example to get you familiar with the concept. Imagine you and I bet on a coin flip. As you know, heads versus tails is a true 50-50 probability. But I come to you and I tell you that I will offer you $1.10 every time you win, and you only have to risk $1 to play. Would you take this bet? Of course you would, because even if you lose half the time, you're still making money in the long run. That's a positive EV bet. Here's the formula. EV is equal to the probability of winning times the payout minus the probability of losing times the amount you stake. In the coin flip example, our EV is equal to about 5%, and this is found by taking the 50% probability of winning times the $1.10 payout minus the 50% probability times the $1 stake. This leaves you with 55 cents minus 50 cents, or 5 cents of profit expected on every flip. Now imagine playing hundreds of bets like this. You're not guessing, you're not hoping, you're playing a mathematical edge, and that's how sharp bettors win. Not every bet is going to win, but over time, the positive EV compounds just like good investments. This is the mindset shift that most casual bettors never make. There are multiple ways to find positive EV plays, and let me give you the first and most common example, which is price shopping. Here's a real-world analogy. If you're looking to buy a car, do you just walk into the first dealership that you see and buy that car off the lot? No way. You check every price online within your area or even across the country. You go to a few dealers, and you maybe even wait for one of the holiday sales. You shop around because you know that price matters. Paying $2,000 more for the exact same car is just crazy. But that's exactly what most casual sports bettors do every single day. One sportsbook might offer the Yankees at plus 120, and another sportsbook might have them at plus 135. Something we're going to get to later in this video is data modeling, and let's say your data model says the Yankees will win 46% of the time. At plus 120, that book is offering you a losing bet. But at plus 135, that's now positive expected value. So the edge isn't in just what you bet, it's where you bet. And that's why price shopping is essential, and it's so easy to do. Smart bettors don't just make good picks, they make good deals. So outside of price shopping, how can you know if a bet is positive EV? Well, you need a source of truth. Every sportsbook creates its own odds, but that doesn't mean that they're always right. Their lines are influenced by sharp money, public money, injury news, and algorithmic adjustments. And they can be beaten if you have a trusted model. This is where rudebets.com comes in. On our site, we simulate every game thousands of times, and we have years of data science experience to build these models. We calculate player projections, win probabilities, and what we believe to be the true odds of every outcome. Then we're able to compare those probabilities to the sportsbook odds, and that's another great way we can find value. Not by guessing, but by modeling price. So let's say in our data, we see a player projected to hit an over 58% of the time. But on the book, the implied probability is 50%. That is a green light, good bet. You don't need to outsmart Vegas to win. You just need to use the proper tools to spot inefficiencies and grab them before they're corrected. Once you find positive expected bets, the next question is how much do you bet? This is where most people blow it. They either go all in on one pick or they bet flat values no matter the edge. Most pros use something called the Kelly criterion. It's a formula that helps you size your bet based on your edge and your odds. The full Kelly criterion says that if your edge is 5%, you bet 5% of your bankroll, but since sports has a lot of variance, we like to use fractional Kellys such as the half Kelly or the quarter Kelly. So instead of betting 5% on your bankroll on a 5% edge, you would bet 1 or 2%. Why? Because this manages risk while maximizing long-term profits. Sports betting isn't about hitting long shot home runs every day. It's about surviving long enough to let your edge shine through. And bankroll management is what separates gamblers from investors. So let's recap. Winning at sports betting isn't about knowing sports. It's about understanding expected value. It's about shopping for the best price. It's about using a trusted source of truth. And it's about betting smart with your bankroll. This is the secret that sportsbooks do not want you to know. Because once you stop betting emotionally and start betting mathematically, the game changes. You don't need to bet more, you need to bet better. And if you want help in doing that, make sure you go check out rudebets.com. We run the models, we compare the lines, and we find the edges, so you can beat the books without guessing. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a like, and let me know in the comments what video you want next. I'll see you in the next one.